So as just a little transition, there was a lot of really big, important questions and information that you shared on that panel this morning, and I was so grateful to be able to hear that. And after hearing them, was also reminded, Karen, that those of you on the summit, I think, did just an amazing job at choosing this topic as a follow-up, because these have certainly been some very challenging times for us. And as all of the doctors shared, supporting our health is a very important thing. And so that's what we get to spend some time doing this morning now together. I would like to invite you to just take a moment to let go of anything that's in your mind at this point. And I'm just going to invite my candles to flicker for you here. And I'm going to invite my bowl to sing for you for a moment. And I just want you to put aside any worries, any concerns, any thoughts that are taking you away from this moment and invite you here. Thank you for participating if you did in our first little activity. So just take a deep breath. Oops, okay. Well, there we go. Sorry, my computer was they're a little touchy. So we're going to spend the next 28 minutes or so talking about well-being and exploring how to water the seeds of well-being. And what's true is that in this world now, there are lots and lots of things that we can do to water the seeds of well-being. And I'm going to share with you, just imagine a little sprinkling can and not really a huge watering can. So it's just going to be a little sampling of things to do to support well-being for yourself and for others in your life. Okay, my keyboard is just not cooperating. We did not have this problem. Let's see what I need to do here. Let's see. Try it this way. There we go. That'll work too. Sorry. So well-being is a very broad kind of concept and can be a very elusive one for folks. But generally speaking, it means being comfortable, being healthy, and being happy. And what's true is that in addition to well-being helping you to feel good, it also is what contributes to you being able to be the best version of you that you can be. And for many of us in the services world, it's so important for you to be able to be the best you that you can be so that you can support the folks in your lives, whether they are clients or family members or patients, to be the best them that they can be. Well-being, as I said, is not really, it's a broad concept, but it's not really anything as elusive as it might seem to some of us. We are learning more and more about that through actual brain research. And that's the really good news about well-being and the studies that are being done on well-being. It turns out that it really is a brain thing. So it isn't just something that comes upon you, that falls upon you if you're a lucky one. It is something that exists and can be strengthened in your brain. The other exciting news out of all of this research is that our brains can change. So even at the ripe young age of 69, I'm delighted to know that there are practices I can engage in that will change my brain and improve how I feel and how I think and how I live. Most of that research began, and much of it is continuing right here in Madison, Wisconsin, which is where I am, at the University of Wisconsin, through the work of Dr. Richie Davidson. Um, Dr. Davidson has studied the brains of such amazing people as the Dalai Lama. He studies brains of all kinds of people in terms of how they respond to developing well-being through a set of identifiable skills. And in his work, he's identified these basic 4 constituents of well-being. And what we're going to be spending the rest of our time doing is examining each of these 4 constituents, and then just a couple of activities that build each of these, because again, it turns out from the research that it's a brain thing, and it's a brain thing that develops through the practice of skills, specific skills. And so that's what I'm going to give you an opportunity to play with me today. So the first constituent that we're going to address is that of positive outlook. And what we know about positive outlook is that there is actually a part of the brain that is stimulated when you think about things that are positive, or when you look at things that are positive, when you remember things that are positive, when you engage in things that are positive. That part of the brain, and I'm not a neuroscientist, but it's called the ventricular striatum. And the important piece to understand is that that stimulation in response to your thoughts and your actions is real. Scientists can read the stimulation that occurs there. And what happens is that when we engage in activities that support a more positive outlook, we build the capacity of that part of the brain. And when that part of the brain is built, it then decreases the production of cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And many of you have probably heard of that. So it really is not just an old hippie thing, that it feels good to be good. It really is a scientifically based fact that by thinking good, by looking at things that are positive, you can change how you feel. So I'm going to invite.
That's your Medicare
Hello?
coverage through them?
Oh, Medicare coverage is a positive thing. That's a good thing. I don't know if all of you heard that, but that's what I heard. So a positive thought, that's a good thing. So sometimes it's helpful, especially in the beginning of learning about these practices, to notice contrasts. Sometimes that helps. So what I'm going to invite you to do right now, if you're willing, is to just take a few seconds to do some complaining and some gritching. If you're with somebody in the same space, fine. If not, just do it to yourself. You know that we all do that with ourselves, right? So I'm going to invite you in with my bell to just spend a few seconds of complaining. And then I'll ring the bell again, and I'll invite you to pause and stop and have a moment to notice. All right? So here you go. This is your only moment in the time that we're together that I'm going to invite you to do something negative, complain to yourself or to your friends. And now what I would like you to do is just take a moment to notice what that felt like. If you are so inclined to share it in the chat, go ahead and do that. And Kelsey can share a few of your responses, but just notice what it felt like to spend even just 20 seconds, because that's all it was, to complain. Kelsey, is anybody sharing?
So far, we have a really positive group. Nobody wants to complain. Oh, we have a changes the energy, unhappy. Someone felt sad.
There you go. Yep, yep. And that is what happens. It does shift your energy. Absolutely.
I like this one. I found lots to complain about.
Absolutely.
Snowball effect.
Absolutely.
It felt good to get it out. Stressed out. Felt good. Bored. Icky. Even just thinking about it quickly changed the mood. Oh man, there's a lot of responses.
Exactly. See the power of our thoughts. I mean, and we're all in whatever spaces we're in. We're not, and in front of our screens, and there is energy that comes from our thoughts. Again, sometimes it's helpful to notice the contrast, and that's where I'm going to take you back now. So now what I'm going to do is ring the bell and invite you to celebrate something. To celebrate something that's happened in the past, celebrate something that's coming up, or celebrate the fact that the sun is shining today. It's beautiful, and we are all here together in this wonderful grouping. So again, I'll invite you in with the bell and then invite you out. All right. I'm sure that that's a much more pleasant place to stay. And I'm sorry to bring you back, but I promise we'll do more fun things. But take a moment now and notice how that was different. And if it was, it may not have been for some of you, but notice and then share what might have come up.
Nanette, we have some answers here. We have some celebrate sunshine. People saying that they see that people's body language is changing on Zoom, and that's fun to see. Feeling energetic, optimistic, cheerful, positive, all kinds of fun stuff. I wasn't holding my breath, increased energy, energy, smiling, uplifting. So great.
Yay. That's wonderful. As Karen shared with you at the beginning, a bulk of my practice is with individuals with physiological, neurophysiological differences. I should have gotten that out that way the first time. Many of whom have autism. I'm also involved in supporting people who support them. And whether you work with people with autism or any other diverse population, we don't all have the same skill sets in terms of how we are able to access our cognition and our thought processes. And so even if you were able to just sit there and imagine good things, for some people that's not possible. And for some of us, even who are able to do that, it's more powerful if we engage more of our senses. And so you might find that for yourself or for someone that you support, it's easier for you to get in touch with those really positive feelings and that positive outlook if you have something to physically look at, to actually look at. So, and as I was gathering pictures for this screen, I have to admit that in terms of positives in my life, it's the beach. And then I found Starbucks on the beach. Oh my goodness. That's like see, Kelsey's like, yay, that's like my nirvana as well, I have to say. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to shift now. So take a deep breath in, because breathing almost always helps with transitions. And we'll talk more about breath in a minute, but we want to keep practicing. The next constituency that Dr. Richardson identified was resilience. Now, in addition to being a Starbucks fan, I am also a Disney fan. And I call this the Tigger effect, Because what resilience is how quickly you can recover from adversity or how quickly you can bounce back. Now, there are two hard pieces of information about resilience. One is that it seems to be one of the constituents of well-being that is most tied to our neurology, to our innate neurology. And I know if you think about that, and then if you think, if you are a Disney fan or a Milne fan, and you think about Winnie the Pooh, Tigger is the bounce back guy, but Eeyore is not. And Eeyore tries, and all of his friends try, and it's just hard for his neurology to pull out of that and to be quite as bouncy as Tigger is. Eeyore will never be as bouncy as Tigger is. It doesn't mean, though, that Eeyore will not find his own level of resilience. So there are people in our lives who struggle with depression, who struggle with autism, who struggle with obsessive compulsive issues, for whom their neurology gets them stuck. And so what happens in that stuckness in their brain, those neurons fire over and over and over. The negative things that happen in their life, just like your complaining list, become bigger for them, and they get stuck in the focus of that. And it is resilience that's one of the most difficult constituents to build, but the good news is it's possible. With specific skill training and lots of practice, it is possible to develop more resilience in your life. So I'm going to invite you now to try one of those skill practices. And this is sort of it's called stop thinking, think switching. Okay, so what I'm going to invite you to do is write down whatever it is you're thinking about right now. Or say it out loud, but you want to keep that thought present. So just take a moment, come up with your thought. Notice what's going on in your head. Okay. If you need a little more time, take it, but I'm going to invite those of you who have identified your thought now to stop that thought, and I'm going to ask you to change it up. I want you to, if you wrote it, I want you to rewrite it. If you said it, I want you to say it differently. And the difference that I want you to create in your rewriting or in your saying it differently is change it up more towards that positive outlook. Even if you don't believe it will never happen, I want you to stretch beyond that belief. And if the thought that you noticed was a good thought, like, oh, I'm having a Starbucks, make it better. Enhance it. It's Starbucks on the beach. Okay? So stop your thought, change it up. And now you know the routine. So take a deep breath in and notice what that was like. And again, please share with Kara and Kelsey if you feel the urge to do that. What are you getting, folks? Anything?
I got a tab on the beach. All of us that know Renee know that without even saying that, she loves her tabs. So thank you for that, Renee. Warmth and love flooded my heart and my senses, deep gratitude and peace.
Nice. Nice. So, just another way of helping yourself and helping those that you support in your life to build some resilience. Now, I'm not sure how it was for all of you. Nobody shared that, oh, this was tough. It was hard to change that thought. But again, remember that for many of the people that we support, changing those thoughts is hard, but there's a way we can help with that too, in that you can help. Okay, so if you have someone in your life, or if you yourself have a hard time making those changes in those thoughts, then focus on asking someone else to help you identify those. Focus on what the people in your life do that are good things, that are wonderful, that contribute to your life. It's it's never it's never a bad thing to share a compliment. And that's what this is. That's what this piece is about. Sharing compliments, thinking about for yourself, boy, how could I do that? So I just want you to take a quick moment here to think about ways in which you might add purpose to someone else's life or to your own by identifying what they contribute or what you contribute. And I want you to make just a short list, So I'm going to invite you to list characteristics of purpose that someone else in your life does or that you do. All right, I'm going to invite you back. And just a quick addition that I had forgotten to mention, that there is another a little trick for some folks to making this even more powerful, which is to look in the mirror and do this for yourself, or sit in front of a mirror with the person that you're working with, and remind them as they're looking at themselves that they're a really good friend, that they work hard on their health and well-being, And once again, let Kelsey and Kara know, if you are willing, what that felt like to just take a moment and focus on purpose and value. And are we getting anything there, Kelsey and Kara? Should we move on? Not this time. No, that's okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's move on then to the next constituent of well-being. Another very, very critical constituent that Richie Davidson and his colleagues have spent a lot of time examining is the notion of attention. They did this amazing study with people and their cell phones. We heard earlier this morning that almost everybody has cell phones now. And they asked people to keep track on their cell phones the number of times that their attention drifted from whatever they were doing. And it was this astronomical number, averaging on 47 times in a minute. Now think about that. If you're trying to get something done, right? That's really, really difficult. So one of the best things that we can do to improve our well-being is to improve our attention. And in that, but not just paying attention to everything, but focusing our attention. So we're talking about attention with focus and attention without judgment. And we're going to examine the ability of ourselves to bring our attention back to what our focus needs, what we want our focus to be in any given moment. And it is attention and attention to our thoughts and attention to things that contributes to our well-being and how we end up feeling emotionally. One of the most powerful little lessons about this I have come to learn is through something called mindfulness and mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness has been brought into the Western world now by many different gurus or teachers, and it's now, it used to be more of a spiritual kind of practice, and now it really is a practice that people understand to be important in the world of health and well-being. And one of the people who has brought the notion of mindfulness to the forefront in a very playful and fun way is a woman named Sharon Salzberg. And so I want to share with you now just a very short little story that she tells us about attention and the impact of intention. And just to let you know, I have also included the link to this. It's a YouTube link. You have a list of supplementary materials because I can't share all that I can share in this short time period. So you have this link. So you can watch it now and you can also use it later. So take a breath. Get comfy for a little video.
There's a story, usually attributed to the Native American tradition, which illuminates different ways of paying attention. An elder, talking to a child, says, "I have two wolves fighting in my heart. One wolf is fearful, vengeful, envious, resentful, and deceitful. The other wolf is compassionate, loving, generous, truthful, and peaceful." The child asks, "Which wolf will win the fight?" The elder responds, "The one I feed." That doesn't mean we try to deny or hurt or kill the angry wolf. If we did that, we'd end up in a long battle, all the while somehow making that wolf more powerful through our hostility and fear. Hating that wolf sucks the strength right out of us. Instead, we calmly pay attention to the angry wolf and let go of believing they have the answers. If we can do that, they end up lying down next to us, no longer an enemy. We help strengthen the kind and loving wolf, giving it nourishment and support so that we can follow it. That peaceful wolf can become our steady companion and show us the way through all kinds of different life experiences. Restful or chaotic, enjoyable or disappointing experiences may come and go, but we can have a guide with us through it all. This is what mindfulness can help you do. Mindfulness allows us to see our thoughts and feelings as they are beginning. It's very powerful to know what we're feeling as we're feeling it, know what we're thinking as we're thinking it. With mindfulness, we can choose what will strengthen and bring into action, and we can choose what we will gently let go of. We don't have to be at the mercy of old habits or old ways of thinking or old ways of being. We are empowered. It just takes practice.
And one of the most powerful tools of mindfulness that requires practice, but that we all have access to, is our breath. And so that's where we're going to shift now. It all begins with the breath. It is how we can settle. It is how we can begin to notice those thoughts, to notice those feelings, and decide which ones to water. So for those of you who have mindfulness practices of your own, I invite you to just relish in this opportunity to sit quietly yet again and notice just your breath. I'm just asking you to just sit and just pay attention to your breath. We're going to do this only for 30 seconds. So you know, if you've not practiced or tried this before, it's not a big and scary thing. So I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath in, but then when I ring the bell, I want you to just breathe at a nice, natural pace. I'll invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that. For some people, that it helps to take away the visual stimulation to allow you to focus on your breath. If you're not comfortable doing that, it'll help you to focus on your breath then if you focus on one single image and try not to let your eyes shift from that. And to use in what we call soft seeing. So just kind of blur it a little bit, whatever you're looking at. Okay, so take a deep breath. And return. And breathe. And notice.
Would you like for me to share some of the responses, Nanette?
Please.
So we've got
Yes.
calm, sense of peace, time. One person, difficult to keep other thoughts out, but relaxing at the same time. Peaceful.
Nice. Nice. Well, please know, for those of you that have never tried it before, and maybe those are some of you that didn't share, it's not easy. It's like this practice is simple, but it isn't easy. But it is very, very beneficial. One of the things that's hard for many of us is getting in touch with and knowing what our breath looks like. And so for a number of folks that I support, I try to find a way to help them find their breath, and finding it sometimes is in seeing it. So, I've offered you the opportunity to bring some cotton balls or a tissue or something like that, and just notice how different it is to actually see your breath. That it helps folks to kind of, get in touch with that part of their being. And here and you'll have copies of these slides. There's just some other ideas for helping people to see their breath. The other thing that's important about our breath is integrating it with movement in our bodies. And so that's what I'm going to invite you to experience next. Bringing breath into your body helps integrate feelings, thinking, processing in your brain. It helps with developing focus, and it can help to calm and regulate. So again, another very famous writer and mindfulness practitioner is Thich Nhat Hanh, and he has this lovely book that's filled with just lovely artwork as well, in which he encourages breathing with movements. And I'm going to invite each of you to stand up from your chairs. Now, we all spend way too much time when we Zoom sitting in our chairs. And I'm going to invite you to just take 3 deep breaths with noticing your body and then in moving your body. So we're going to start just by breathing in this standing position. So breathe in 1, breathe out 1, breathe in 2, breathe out 2, breathe in 3, breathe out 3. Excellent. Now this next movement, we're going to breathe in as we raise our arms up and out, sort of like Frankenstein. Ready? So breathe in 1 and then breathe out as you lower them. Breathe out 1. Breathe in 2. Breathe out 2. Breathe in 3. Breathe out 3. Now you might have noticed that those were sort of shorter breaths. So this next movement will encourage us to take a deeper breath as we breathe in and stretch our arms all the way up on the in breath. Breathe in 1. Breathe out 1. Breathe in 2. Breathe out 2. Breathe in 3. Breathe out 3. And this final one is going to open our chest the other way and open our heart center at the same time. So you're going to start with your hands on your shoulders. And as you breathe in, you're going to open. This is called lotus breathing. So breathe in and open. Nice. Breathe out and close. Breathe in and open 2. Breathe out and close 2. Breathe in and open 3. Breathe out and close 3. And release. And you might want to just kind of shake it all out as we get ready to sit back down again. All right. So I hope that energized you, woke you up, helped you focus a little bit. There are actually 10 mindful movements, and the book comes with a DVD. So it's also a very powerful practice to do as a part of a group and try to get that movement synchronized. That really builds relationship and bonding. It's a really very sweet practice to do with more than one person. The final constituency of well-being that we're going to talk about is generosity. And generosity happens to be one of the most powerful of the constituents, and it is the easiest to activate. And the other thing is that the activation of these circuits are more enduring than any other kind of positive interaction that we've talked about so far. So this is sharing your thoughts, sharing your feelings, sharing your experiences with yourself and with others. And one absolutely critical aspect of generosity to yourself is establishing a gratitude journal. And Karen attended my keynote some time ago for another group and was gracious enough to share with me that you all have already some really wonderful gratitude materials. And I loved it, Karen. It's like, I love this little notepad, it suggests at the end of every day listing 3 good things that happened in your day. And it's such a powerful, powerful practice. And it's something that I do with all of the individuals that I support. I also loved on this contact information that you shared, Karen, you said that you also have a set of free resiliency tools, which you will recall is the second constituency that we talked about. So yay for you. You guys are already way ahead of the game with all of this. It is not enough, however, to practice all of these skills where we do all these things about our thinking and in our body if we don't also pay attention to our guts. We started with some health conversations this morning. We need to pay attention to our bellies because we know now there's a very strong gut-brain connection that supports our overall well-being. This keynote is not about talking about these pieces. That's another part of my practice, but I never feel okay not talking to you about the importance of paying attention to your gut health as well as your head health, your mind health, your body health. So that is almost a wrap. I have one more very powerful meditation practice that is in that realm of generosity. And I want to thank you all, though, for coming. And I'm going to invite you for this last practice to unmute your mics. Because I want to invite you to take part in a choral reading response activity around loving kindness statements. Loving kindness is the practice of compassion and sharing compassion. And so I've come, and you can come up with, your own statements of compassion. I came up with some for this group for today that I'm going to share on the screen. And that what we're going to do is I am going to read a sentence and then pause and have all of you read it back. And we'll go through that for these statements, if you're willing. So we'll take a deep breath in to start. May I be peaceful.
May I be
Well in body and mind.
May I be well in body and mind.
May
I be well in body and mind.
May I be happy.
May I
be
happy.
In this practice, you then go from wishing things for yourself to wishing for others. May you be peaceful.
May
May
you
you be peaceful.
May you be well in body and mind.
May
You be well in
body
body and mind.
May you be happy.
may
You be happy.
Thank you so much. And the light in you, the light in you. Namaste.
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 Oh,
Namaste.
oh, I didn't know that.
Karen, thank you. And I think now I kind of tried to track
That is so
time, but I don't know
cool.
that we have time for questions and answers.
Thank you, Nanette. That was absolutely wonderful. And it was really great to get up and move a little bit. We could take 2 minutes. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat box. Nanette will plan to share the presentation with everyone. And please make sure to put yourself on mute again. Are there any questions?
Nanette, we do have one question that's came up a couple of times. Can you just reference the book that you talked about, the mindful movements, one more time and tell people where they can find it, the author?
It's called 10 Mindful Movements, and it is by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I can go backwards, I think. I don't know if I can go backwards. And you can get it in any bookstore or on Amazon, if you do Amazon. So I can get back to the, I don't think I can get it.
Thank you so much, Nanette. What a great presentation and really relevant information.
Good. Well, I certainly enjoyed it, and I hope that all of you found it helpful and enjoyable as well. This is an amazing opportunity and amazing summit. So thank you so much.
And it sounds like practice makes perfect. Perfect. So make sure that you do your practice on mindfulness. Build it into your day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a handout on that, how to easily build it into your day. So
Yes.
it's in your supplementary materials. So wonderful reminder. Thank you, Karen.
Yep. And
I
there's
bet you
lots
want
of
your
thank
screen
yous.
cap, right, Kelsey?
Lots of thank yous in the chat.
Thank you, Nanette.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Kelsey and Kara, for monitoring questions and making sure that they get addressed. So thank you. Next, it's my honor to introduce our two co-chairs. You will recognize Kara Griffin. She has served on Wing Energized as a co-chair for the past 6 years, going on 7 years. Kara is currently the program manager for Crow Wing County Community Services. And Crow Wing County is our partner along with Essentia Health. We have a new face this year, and I would love to welcome Mike Larson. Mike Larson is the Vice President of Operations for Essentia Health and based in the Brainerd Lakes and St. Joseph's Medical Center. Mike has been serving in a leadership role for Essentia in Brainerd for the past 8 years. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning, and thank you all for attending our 8th annual Growing Energized Summit. Well, this year we're doing things a little different. Along with being virtual, we're also focusing the remainder of our time together to share our strategic plan for 2021. Before we dig in, I would like to recognize another change, and that would be a change in leadership for Growing Energized. For the past 6 years, I have had the pleasure of co-chairing with Adam Rees, one of the founding chairs of Growing Energized. I would like to take this moment to thank you, Adam, for your vision and leadership of Growing Energized. You have been instrumental in the success of Crow Wing County's health and wellness movement. And I think a virtual applause of some sort would definitely be encouraged by all of us. So thank you, Adam, very much. And now, with excitement, I would like to introduce the new co-chair for Growing Energized, Mike Larson from Essentia Health. Mike?
Thank you, Cara. And I too want to echo my appreciation for Adam. I think without Adam's vision and leadership, he really got the Growing Energized movement started about 8 years ago. And I also want to express my gratitude, Adam, for you putting trust in me to bring me into Essentia Health in Brainerd Lakes area to join your leadership team. As I reflect on Growing Energized and some of the comments that Nan shared with us related to gratitude, sense of purpose, focus on what matters, I think about Growing Energized and how it really aligns with Essentia Health's mission, which is we're called to make a healthy difference in people's lives. The partnership with Growing County and all of our community partners, it has provided a framework for the Growing Energized movement. And ultimately, Growing Energized initiatives are aimed at improving the community health in the Growing County and broader area in the region. Essentia and Growing County could not accomplish this without all of you and our community partners. And so thank you all for your roles in giving back the community to impact the outcomes and health for everybody in our Growing County population. With that, I'd like to go to the next slide and talk about some of the great work that's been going on within our Growing Energized teams. And this one, I've got the honor of speaking about workplace wellness. And I want to start with appreciation for Daryl, our co-chairs for this group, and Daryl Doucette, who's with Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union, and Susie Stetson-Buheit with Big Stones Therapies are our co-chairs for this group. And you can see some of the things that they're focused on. When we look at this goal group, and really all of our goal groups, we've been using a results-based accountability process. And the point is to create a positive outcome within the targeted group, within the community. And Growing Energized uses a small team of employees, but many other partners in guiding this work. Making the healthy choice the easy choice. One of the strategies that we want to highlight is mental health stigma reduction. And we know that many people are dealing with additional workplace stress being amplified during COVID-19. Knowing that the effects of the pandemic are going to be long lasting, the Workplace Wellness Goal Group is being strategic in discussing what wellness in the workplace looks like. Thank you again to this team for accomplishing the goals that are listed on this page.
Okay, next goal group is community connections. Thank you to Shane Riffle and Mara Pointer who lead this group. So this group works to make sure that the community is aware of health and wellness opportunities through Crowing Energized and our partners. They do ask that you take a moment to follow up or follow them on Facebook or to check out our website, where we have a vast array of resources available, as well as where we post any of the events that Crowing Energized is sponsoring or any one of our partners is sponsoring. And if this is an area of interest for you, the group does meet every other month, and you are more than welcome to reach out and attend one of those meetings to learn more about community connections. So thank you both to the co-chairs. Our third group is mental fitness. As you see, this group encourages and equips citizens in achieving and maintaining mental fitness. So quite a big undertaking when you think of all that we have going on in relation to mental fitness and mental health. The two co-chairs are Nathan Bertram and Julie Christensen. We also have a subgroup under the mental fitness group. It is called the ACEs and Resiliency Coalition, also known as ARC. And Lowell Johnson is the chair for that committee. The mental fitness goal group is still finalizing their strategic plan for 2021. However, they continue to prioritize the previous goals for this group. In November, this committee launched monthly lunch and learns that focused on a various array of mental health topics. They also hosted 2 Loss of Dreams workshops in March. All of these were held virtually, of course, and they were also well attended by the community. So good job, Goal Group. And then most recently, the mental fitness group, along with ARC, launched a series of videos. Those videos are called Building Relationship Skills Across a Lifetime. The videos are available on the website for anyone to view. I do encourage you to check out the repository of videos along with resources that are readily available for all of our community on the website. They're free. Again, check out the website for more information related to those videos.
And our fourth goal group is Healthy Choices. And I want to thank David Chansky with the City of Brainerd and Ryan Schoblad with Heartland Hospice, who co-chaired this group. I also want to thank Rachel Zita, who leads the Aging Coalition, and Carolyn McQueen, who leads the Food Shelf Coalition. The Healthy Choices goal group encompasses healthy eating and active living, 2 of our broader strategies. Again, through the results-based accountability process, you can see some of the things that this goal group has for strategies for 2021. This is not a complete list of all the work that Crowing Energized does, but it gives you a taste of what you can be involved with and through these goal groups. We're excited to highlight one of the strategies of safe outdoor activities through a video that's been produced by Jeremy Doyle at Silent Shout Productions. And thank you, Jeremy, for your outstanding work.
The high fives of outdoor recreation lifestyle. Make a plan to play. Get yourself some awesome gear. Get connected with your local experts. Make friends. Get outside.
The Arboretum is a great place to stay active. We have 12 miles of trails out here. What's great about the Arboretum is that it's open year round. In the summertime, come hiking. In the winter, you can come snowshoeing or maybe take up skiing as your new hobby. Just being active and outdoors, not only for your physical health, but for your mental health as well. Kind of de-stress throughout the day. And then it builds really good principles for not only your family, but for maybe your children or your parents as well.
This is the first time I went snowshoeing. It was fun because I love nature and I was with my friends. I felt really good. I was wearing my boots, snow pants, gloves, jacket, and a warm winter hat. I never knew snowshoeing was a thing until now. But it's so much fun to get out and go outside and do winter activities. The snow is really fun to play in, and you could build a lot of other stuff with snow. And like if you go on ice, you can like skate on ice and go ice skating, and that's really fun. We're ice skating at Gregory Park. It's fun because you can all get together with your friends, and a few of them can walk over here and you just have something to do for the day. The fresh air is really good for you, and the vitamin D, and it's good to have like childhood memories and stuff, or even adult memories that you can look back on and say, hey, that was really fun. You actually get to move instead of sitting around, and all your friends are here, and it's just fun. You feel more energized, like you feel better, like you had like a good day skating. Winter's awesome. We have an after-school cross-country ski group that you're watching today, and they are students in 2nd through 5th grade who come after school once or twice a week to ski with us and learn the basics of cross-country skiing. I think it's a good thing to get your air, and it's a good way to find nature. Their confidence grows when they do something like this. They learn how to problem solve if they get into a hill that looks a little harder or challenging to them and they fall. How are they going to get back up, and how are they going to make it up that hill? I liked skiing because you get to move your legs a lot, and it's a lot of exercise, and you get to go fast. We have all the equipment, so kids get to try it without having to get into buying equipment that probably they're going to outgrow next year anyways. Brainerd Nordic Ski Club supplies some of our equipment, and then our FIAD department at Eagle View has the rest of the equipment that we use for the program.
So the club, I think we have about 60 members. You can be a single membership or family membership. So we groom 3 sets of trails, one here at the Arb, over at Forest View, and then over at French Rapids. And then just this year, we started grooming for the county trails over at Wolf Lake and out east at Larson Lake. It's a mixed sport, right? 5, 6, 7-year-olds, junior highs. You know, there's lots of people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that ski. So it's one of those things, the more you do, the faster you learn. And it's a fantastic aerobic workout. Everybody's happy when they're skiing and outside, it seems like.
We gather here on weekends and we get together and we walk.
I love coming here to meet with all the people, to visit. It's good for our mental health. It's good for our physical health. It's a real energy booster, and it helps your mood and attitude. And
part of Wing Energized, we have an aging coalition, and we sponsor an aging mastery class. So with Aging Mastery, met 10 new people. And as a result of those 10, it just keeps multiplying.
People would be surprised if they just stepped out of that comfort zone and gave somebody a call or said to somebody, hey, do you want to go for a walk? Let's give it a try. It's good for all ages, you know, to get out and walk, get your body moving. It's good for your mind, your spirit, your soul. You can go fast, you can go slow. You can go in places that aren't as well traveled, or you can go on the trails, wherever it fits you.
When you're training for a race, and I'm training for the Run for the Lakes, you got to stay fit all year. So I like to cross train. So I cross country ski, I snowshoe, and I run regardless of the conditions. There are a lot of paths and trails. If you like to run on concrete, there's the Paul Bunyan Trail. I like to trail run, so you'll find me here at the Arboretum at least 2 or 3 days of the week. I like to run out of French Rapids most of the year until it's ski season. And then even out at Cuyuna, mountain bike trails, they allow running out there, so you got to be a little careful.
The Cuyuna Lakes mountain bike trails are a world-class trail system in the heart of Crow Wing County. And some people don't realize what a great quality trail system we have right here. So close to a community the size of Brainerd and right in the town of Crosby and Ironton. It's really fun to do mountain biking. Like it's a lot of work to climb up the hills, and you definitely get a good workout climbing up the hills, but you get really good, fun experience coming down the hills, you know? So if you're talking an exercise standpoint, mountain biking and fat biking are some of the most fun things that you can can do to get in shape.
There's people that will bike with you, fast, slow, hard charging riders, or like me, I just go out and have fun. I'm not in a hurry to get back to the car.
There are kids who ride out here on strider bikes, not even old enough to pedal a bike. And there are people who ride these trails on a daily basis who are well into their 70s and 80s.
Here I am at 65 years old, you know, doing 5-10 miles of good hard work, summer and winter, and I just love it. I've learned that in bikes, little changes make a huge difference. A change of the height or tilt of the seat, little change of the handlebars.
Any of the local bike shops around the area can help get you set up with the gear that you need, not only the bicycle, but the clothing and the equipment that you need to have a fun, safe experience.
We have some of the best bicycle and sporting shops on the planet in our surrounding communities, serving everything from fat bicycles for riding in the snow, cross-country mountain bikes for riding out at Cuyuna, road and trail bikes for Paul Bunyan Trail and riding around the beautiful lakes we have here, cross-country skis, we've got snowshoeing, alpine skis for downhill skiing and snowboards out at Mount Ski Gull.
We're a small nonprofit alpine ski hill here. We've got lots of different options for winter. So we've got skiing and snowboarding behind us. You'll see our terrain park. We've got our bunny hill for all ages over there, along with 7 other runs out that way. And then if you're not interested in skiing and snowboarding, we also have our awesome tubing hill over there. We're working our muscles as we're skiing and snowboarding and getting up those lifts. And so it's important for us to have this winter opportunity out here when, we're not out on our boats or out on the lake. As a nonprofit, our mission is to provide a healthy lifestyle for all of our youth and families in central Minnesota. And that's what we provide is activities to promote that healthy lifestyle. And so we just really, we try to live that out every single day while we're here. And we hope others will do the same.
There's a ton of lakes out here in the Brainerd Lakes area, in the Crowing area. Ice fishing can be huge. It could be fun. It could be for the whole family. It could be by yourself.
It's a freeing feeling to get away from the everyday life, struggles of life. It's just that feeling of peace and quiet and relaxation.
First thing you need is warm clothes. You want some good boots, a nice warm jacket, gloves, a stocking hat, a nice coat, bibs. Next step, you'd probably want to get an auger. You can have the hand crank one or the power auger. And the next biggest thing is probably a nice rod. You can't catch much fish without a nice rod.
We're just absolutely loaded with lakes, so you don't have to go far. Having the options right here is just unbelievable. There is water that I haven't touched, and I never will.
Things that I like about sledding are when you go down and you just go super fast. And sometimes it's fun when you spin around at the end.
We try to get the kids out skating, sledding, skiing, just to get that physical activity that they're not getting in the house during the winter. And, they enjoy it. And we enjoy watching them do it and being active with them.
It's always fun to crash once in a while because if you don't crash, it's not as fun because then you just it's just not as fun.
When they're outside with their siblings and friends and they're laughing, talking, and playing, and I think it's good for their mental health.
Yeah, you're good. Good job. Wow, okay.
Believe it or not, you need to schedule your play time. So recreation is more than just about play and making a good memory. It's about the whole wellness plan that you have for keeping your body in motion, eating well, sleeping well, drinking lots of water, getting some vitamin D, socializing, building relationships, building memories, learning new skills. You bring that all together. We're spiritual creations, we are mental creations, and we're physical creations. And we are able to tap into all that throughout our recreation.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. This is Shane Riffle, and I'm the CEO at your Brainerd Family YMCA. And how great was that video? I'd like to once again thank Jeremy for the work he did. And he actually filmed hours and hours of video and put it all into about 10 minutes. And I know that was tough in itself. I'd also like to thank the many groups that shared their outdoor experience with us so that we all got to see maybe some different things that we can do in the wintertime. It truly captures the spirit of the Brainerd Lakes area and the potential we have right outside our back door to stay active, engaged, and healthy. And I really love the way Brian put it. So high fives, everyone. No, really. Yeah, there you go. Some of you did it. I mean, everybody, if you have your screen blanked out, you're not excused. We're going to all do a high five. So on the count of 3, we're going to do a high five. 1, 2, 3. High fives. You nailed it. Awesome. So what were you guys thinking when you watched that video? I can tell you that I was smiling from ear to ear. And as I looked out, I saw a lot of other people smiling as well, because there were a lot of fun things going on. And I almost shut my computer off and left and headed out the door to go try and do some of those things while we have a little bit of snow left. A little bit about me. I've lived literally across the country, even across the world. I've lived in England, New Mexico, Phoenix, Arizona, Southwest Ohio, Boise, Idaho, and before here, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I chose to move here for a reason. And a lot of it was the wintertime outdoor activities that we're seeing here. And I found that so many people, they either aren't aware of it or they choose to stay inside because they're afraid to get out in the wintertime. And hopefully this video helps dispel some of that. So to bring together some of what Dr. Negri shared in the video, here's some of my thoughts, okay? Life's path has ups and downs, but how we feel and respond to what goes on around us largely is choice. And they call that positive psychology. So if you ever get over here to the Y outside my office, you'll notice that there's a whiteboard. And every day when I come in, I think of something positive and I pull out my phone and I find positive quotes about different things, optimism, resilience, servant leadership, things like that. And I write a quote of the day up on the board, and that helps get my mindset right for the day. And I hope that it inspires our staff to do the same. And one day I decided to test it and not write anything up there and see if anybody paid attention, if they were noticing. And it was amazing how many people came up and said, Shane, what's up? There was no quote today. I like those things and it does what you're intending. So that made me feel good, and it's choice. So today's quote I actually put up there is, happiness is not by chance, it's by choice. We know that getting outside and staying active and engaged can make us happy. We know that. Science tells us that. And it's a deliberate choice. The video shows us that we can get outside all year round. And what we do is not bookended between the spring and fall seasons. Winter's out there. We saw people of all ages, all abilities, having fun together. And I think that touches many of Brian's checkboxes that he mentioned, right? So you've seen some of the ways you can choose to be active and happy, even during the winter time. How can you find out where you can learn more about where to do this? And with that, I'm going to pass those questions over to my good friend, and I'd like to introduce Holly Holm at Visit Brainerd. Take it, Holly.
Well, thanks so much, Shane. Hello, and good morning to everybody out there. I am from Visit Brainerd, and we are a destination marketing organization, and our job is to really talk about tourism. And what comes with that is, of course, things to do in the area. So I put together a packet of information that you guys should have already, or if you have not, you will get later on, which has, you can just follow along. And if you wanted to, take notes, write some questions down. I'm going to be going through this relatively quickly. I could have talked all day on all of the things that there are to do here, but of course our time is limited. So I'm going to zip through it pretty quickly. But anyway, you can certainly get back to me by phone, Facebook, email, whatever, however you want to reach out to me. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to help. My job is really just to help those folks who are looking for things to do, to give them some guidance. And when I do that, I have to, ask them questions. What are their interests? What kind of family outing do you have? Do you have little kids? Do you have adult children? What are your plans? So I really have to be a little strategic and to get them into the right direction of what they want to do. My point though with that is that there is something for you to do, and it doesn't matter your age, and there is something available with all the resources that we have here. I'm happy to share them with you. So we're going to get into a little bit. I'm going to talk to you. It's kind of a recap of the video and Shane's words, but I'm going to try to talk to you about the activities that we have here. but with a little bit of insight that maybe haven't been touched on or maybe that you aren't sure about yet. I'm going to start at the Arboretum. You can see on my slide here that I am a cross-country skier. And this was just taken a couple weeks, maybe even last week. So I was out on the trails, and I just wanted you to know that the trails are available for you for cross-country skiing. What's cool about the Arboretum is that they have lit trails out there. So you have no excuse that you can't say, I work full time and I can't go skiing, because you can. It's available for you. They have lit trails. It's totally doable. You'll actually see, if you look closely at my photo, I am wearing a headlamp, although now that with the time changing coming up, it's really not even necessary at night anymore. You can get out there right after work and not need your headlamp, but it's nice to have. It's not mandatory. You don't need it. Trails are lit. Take advantage of them. There's also a list of other trails there. And I just wanted to point out that visitbrainerd.com, if you go to our website, we have all of these trails listed, and if they're highlighted and they're linked to actual maps. So a really good resource for you to be using those, because if you need to do any planning, you need to find out where the trails are, how far away they are, how far do you want to drive. And then when you're looking at the actual map, you can determine how far you want to go, as far as how many miles you want to put on while you're skiing. So again, we're just a resource. We're here to help. We want to get you out on those trails. One of my favorite other ones on this list, Wolf Lake. I was just out there a couple of weeks ago. They do an amazing job with grooming out there. Brian Pike, I just happen to know the name because I check on the skinnyski.com, which has the trail updates all the time. Anyway, they do a wonderful job out there. A little side note about skiing, though, you're going to want to get a ski pass. We haven't talked anything about getting a Minnesota State ski pass. And so what's important about that is that the funds that are created, that are established through the Grant and Aid Trail, are collected from folks getting a Minnesota ski pass. Most of the trails in the area require that ski pass. And then so what happens is the state collects the money. The money then goes as a reimbursement to the groomers, which around here, the Brainerd Nordic Ski Club is really vital in that role. So we want to make sure that those trails stay maintained and groomed, and we need to help, fundraise for them in order for that to happen. So it's kind of a cool little circle, but it's really important that you guys understand that the ski pass is a part of the day. You can get a ski pass just anywhere that you can get a fishing license. And my recommendation, wear the same coat that you wear every day when you go skiing. Keep the pass in your pocket. You don't even have to worry about it. Okay, next slide, please. We have got a ton of other activities, and I'm going to, like I said, go through this pretty quickly. We've already mentioned fat tire biking. I myself have not fat tire biked in the winter, but I've gone out to the trails in Cuyuna in the summertime, and I tell you what, I can only imagine that they are equally as exhausting in the winter time, but still so wonderful. So if you haven't done this yet, please take an opportunity, get this on your bucket list, get out there, hit those trails. If you're a little nervous about going out there because you don't know anything about it, grab a friend. There's lots of clubs that go biking. Talk to the bike shops. They know what you're looking for. They know what you need. They can give you some insight. You really need to take advantage of this a cool opportunity. We have to remember that we live in a location where people choose to vacation. All of these great things are right in our backyard, and we just need to take advantage of them, and they're really cool assets. Next on the list is Mount Ski Gull. So this is kind of interesting. I love Mount Ski Gull, by the way. I don't downhill ski, and I definitely don't snowboard because I can imagine the hot mess that might end up being. However, they offer tubing, and tubing, you don't need any skill. You can seriously ride up on your tube or on the magic carpet to the top of the hill, and you ride down on your tube. And I'm not quite sure how this happens, but in my experience of tubing, which has always been a blast, I'm tired by the end of the day. It takes a lot of energy to just get out there and do it, but it's always so much fun. And also, there is no age limit on tubing, and I don't care how young or how old you are, you can do this. It's really fun, great family activity, group of friends, whatever it is you want to do, easy to do. And I think a ski pass is $21 for a couple of hours, and I'm telling you, a couple of hours is more than enough time. Snowshoeing, we can talk a little bit about that. I think that snowshoeing has become a little bit more, more popular right now with the pandemic happening. It was an activity that, again, you don't need really any skill. If you can walk, you can snowshoe, and it's accessible to anybody. There's rental opportunities. I believe it's on that the list that I included with a bunch of links of where you can go. Just keeping in mind, one of the places to go is Crow Wing State Park, and they offer snowshoeing anywhere in the park, so anything goes. The other places that I mentioned in that packet, the Arb, Cuyuna Lake State Trail, Mississippi Overlook Park, there's designated trail spots, but make sure that you take advantage of those as well. Snowmobiling. Okay, you're probably thinking, what is she talking about? That's not really all that physically active to do. I disagree. In my experience, again, I have ridden on the back of a snowmobile when my husband is driving the machine, and trust me when I tell you that I need to use my muscles to hang on. Okay. I'm not even kidding. My leg muscles hurt. My arms are a little tense. It takes core muscles to stay on the machine. Then also, of course, when I've driven my own sled, arm muscles are important to keep that sled in the right spot that you want to be going. Then I'm going to move on to ice fishing. We all know how to ice fish, I would imagine. We've all at least seen it. We know about it. There's a couple of different ways you could do it. You can either sit on a bucket on a nice sunny day, or you can sit in the luxury of an ice castle. The beauty about ice fishing versus boat fishing, in my opinion, is that if you get a little antsy, you can just run around. You're out on the ice. You can go run around. And if you bring littles with you, we all know that their attention span can oftentimes struggle a little bit if you've got a slow bite. Go make a snow house or a snowball, or go throw snowballs at each other. I don't care. Go run around on the ice. It doesn't matter. But you can do that when you're ice fishing. You can't so much do that when you're at a boat. So keep that in mind. Okay, next slide, please. So here I am. This picture kind of cracks me up. I can't ice skate. I never learned how to ice skate, but I tried it. And that's my point here with this photo. My husband, and another group of friends got together. We went to Gregory Park. This was a few years ago, actually. They all knew how to ice skate. I did not, but I tried it. And my point here is that you can try it too. And it's something that's available. We've got 5 parks in the Brainerd and Baxter area. No cost for you to go to these parks and go ice skating. Unfortunately, right now, ice skating, they do have ice skates available at the parks in a typical non-pandemic year. However, you can still bring your own. And if you need to rent, I know Easy Riders rents ice skates. I think it's $10. However, we're getting to the end of the season. We need to understand that the ice is, weather dependent, and how great the ice quality is and all that. And also, unfortunately, the warming houses are closed right now, but I don't think we need the warming houses. And I think right now is your last chance to get out there and go ice skating. Make sure you do that. I've got the hours down here. Wonderful resource, again, right in your backyard. So make sure you take a look at that. Okay, next slide, please. So I talked a lot about outdoor winter activities. I'm going to transition to indoor. A lot of us forget about, there are indoor things to do. So one of the things on my list is the curling club. And if you haven't done this activity, I highly recommend this also. Again, no age limit on this. Actually, I think you have to be 10 years old. You have to be able to push a 44-pound rock across the ice. So I think that's the youngest that you can be there. Unfortunately, because of COVID, the curling arena was shut down for the season. But I just wanted you guys to know about it. It's not just for league people. You can go. They would often do an open curling. Oftentimes on Saturdays for a couple of hours. You can either make an appointment or you can just show up. They are so great about teaching you how to curl. I actually did this with a group of friends where they came up to visit for one weekend, and I put this in our agenda for an activity to do. Nobody in my friends group had curled before. I had, so that's how I knew about it. But I brought him in there, and I tell you what, it takes a full body of muscle to stay upright on the ice. You're fully stretched out. You're throwing 44 pounds of rock down the ice. And did you know that when you're playing a game of curling, you can put on about 2 miles just from the walking back and forth. So make sure you check that out. Give them a little love. It's a fabulous facility. Their instructors are so knowledgeable and so helpful. And even the teams, if you join a team, which you don't need any, you don't even know how to curl, they will help you along the way. Even the other teams that you're playing against are helpful. That was my experience. It was pretty great. Okay, VR Odyssey. VR stands for virtual reality. And now you're probably also thinking, this girl's crazy. I'm not going to consider video gaming a physical activity. Don't judge this. And now I'm going to tell you a little story. So the first time I went to VR Odyssey, which is located over at Baxter Cub and kind of right next door to, which is now Dobro's restaurant, used to be Boomer's Pizza. I put a headset on, like a generic version somewhere, who knows where. And I was like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Well, I went to VR Odyssey, which is run by a guy named Nick. Nick is pretty great. So he put the headset on me, and next thing you know, I am jumping off of a like a skyscraper. Your heart just pitter patters the entire way down, and you are literally standing in a room. Like you're totally safe, but your mind is adjusted because of what you're seeing. Then I was shooting flaming arrows at dragons. I was dodging cannibals that were getting shot at me from a pirate ship. I also was trying to steer a pirate ship in rocky seas. I am telling you, I left VR Odyssey and I was sweaty and I was exhausted and I was also exhilarated. So the next thing I did was I got my friends together, and the same ones that curled, brought them back into VR Odyssey to make them have that same experience. And it was, again, something that they had never experienced before. So much fun. And again, no age limit on this. So make sure you guys check them out. Really, really great resource that we have. They're fairly new, so we got to give them a little love. The last thing on my list here is the Spirit Movement Dance Studio. You can see me here dancing with a guy named Oscar. That's not my husband, but that is Oscar, the dance instructor, who is very smooth and makes dancing very easy. Much easier than when dancing with my husband, but we're working on it. He and I are taking some private dance lessons right now for an upcoming fundraiser. But not only will they do group lessons when pandemic is under control, you can do private lessons. They do wedding prep dancing, so you might want to keep that in mind. Here's what I think is cool about the Spirit Movement Dance Studio. They will give you guys lessons. If you, let's say you and your husband, in my case, just want to learn a pattern of dances so that we can go out and go on the dance floor and look like we know what we're doing. They will teach you a pattern, and then you guys can look like pro dancers and blow everybody else away. So I think that's pretty cool. We want to, those guys are located in the lower level of the Franklin Arts Center. So check them out as well. Okay, I'm going to talk to you now about the indoor water parks and the swimming pools that we have in the area. There's my list of hotels, and we can't forget about the YMCA. They are actually taking reservations right now, and Shane, you can pop in here if you need to. So I was pleasantly surprised to learn that they are taking reservations. So swimming is available at the Y right now. Unfortunately, the hotels and the water parks that have the pools, because of COVID regulations, they are unable to be open up to the public. So all of the spots, just because of the number of the people that are allowed in those areas. So unfortunately, the spots are going to the hotel guests, and we certainly can understand that. Keep in mind, though, that at some point in the game, these pools will be opened up again. And we also want to remember that the hotels with the pools also offer, packages, swimming packages, and some of them even offer swimming lessons, as does the Y. So we have options out there. And I think that this is a really cool thing for the kids. Again, all ages, easily accessible, right at your fingertips. So keep that in mind. Okay, I'm way behind on my notes. I take notes and then I don't even really look at them. So that's kind of crazy. As the seasons change, Visit Brainerd, we just want you to know that we're a resource for you. We certainly, as you get company that comes to visit you, please come in and, ask us questions about what's happening. We do have an online calendar of events that we, try to keep updated as best as we can. But we've got ideas for you. So we want you to come in and ask those questions, and we'll get you hooked up with the right stuff for you and your family. We're located right in downtown. We're right next door to Fancy Pants Chocolates, by the way, which, dark chocolate's okay, right? I'm going to go with that. So that concludes my presentation for this summit. You will be excited to know that we soon will be announcing the One Vegetable, One Community for 2021. Here's a little secret. I heard that Pepper lost again this year. I bet he's going to be a little bit bitter. I wonder who it's going to be.
Hello, public. This is Pepper again, and I've just been informed that the winner this year for One Vegetable, One Community is not me. It's not Pepper. I don't understand it. I'm sure you're as devastated as me, but I guarantee you I'm not giving up. And next year or the year after, peppers are going to take over the world. See you next year.
Oh my gosh! I just won! I'm Salad Greens and I won! Oh, this is glorious. This is gonna stuff it to you, Pepper. Salad Greens are the big winner this year. And I would first like to thank, I'm gonna set this down so I can list my whole list of thank yous. I'd like to thank the soil, the people who planted me this year, who really made me who I am, which is Salad Greens. And I'm so accessible. I don't know if you know this, but you can literally get salad greens everywhere. And it's super easy. I'm easy to plant, I'm easy to tend to, and then easy to eat. You can put all of your favorite vegetables, and I'm good with olive oil and vinegar as a topping. Honestly, I'm just the most versatile vegetable and easiest, as well as the most delicious. Stuffing it to you, Pepper. I'd like to thank all of the other noble candidates this year and nominees, but it's too bad for you because Salad Greens were the best. Thank you all for voting for Salad Greens.
One Vegetable, One Community is a University of Minnesota extension program that strives to unite communities by encouraging gardeners of all ages and of all levels to plant, grow, cook, and/or share a single vegetable. The goal is to see the vegetable of the year growing in home gardens, community and school gardens, containers on front porches or balconies, in front of businesses, faith-based organizations, and government buildings. Through sharing, growing, preparing, cooking, and storing information, OVOC starts a conversation in the community about food, nutrition, and how a community can support healthier choices. So check out Crow Wing, One Vegetable, One Community on the Wing Energized website or Facebook page, or you can join the Crow Wing County One Vegetable, One Community Facebook page. Let's explore together what we can do with salad greens and what salad greens can do for us.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Holly, for telling us about opportunities in our backyard. Thank you, Kim. Sorry, Shane, but there is always next year. And thank you, Carolyn, for telling us a little bit about One Vegetable, One Community. It is my pleasure to welcome back Al Galboy. She is the owner and founder of Limitless Wellness Holistic Health Coaching. She has helped hundreds of clients reach their wellness goals by guiding them in balancing their physical, mental, and spiritual health. Al believes in holistic healing from the inside out, focusing on small daily habits built up for over time to achieve large and long-lasting results. Welcome, Al.
Thank you, Karen. It's good to be back. So we're going to start today with a short story about habits, okay? So a wise teacher was taking a stroll through the forest with a young pupil and stopped before a tiny tree. Pull up that sapling, the teacher instructed his pupil, pointing to a sprout just coming up from the earth. The youngster pulled it up easily with his fingers. Now pull up that one, said the teacher, indicating a much more established sapling that had grown to about knee-high to the boy. With little effort, the lad yanked and the tree came up, rooting and all. And now this one, said the teacher, nodding toward a more well-developed evergreen that was as tall as the young pupil. With great effort, throwing all his weight and strength into the task, using sticks and stones he found to pry up the stubborn roots, the boy finally got the tree loose. Now, the teacher said, I'd like you to pull up this one. The young boy followed the teacher's gaze, which fell upon a mighty oak so tall the boy could scarcely see the top. Knowing the great struggle he just had pulling up the much smaller tree, he simply told his teacher, I am sorry, but I cannot. My son, you have just demonstrated the power that habits will have over your life, the teacher explained. The older they are, the bigger they get, the deeper the roots grow, and the harder they are to uproot. Some get so big with roots so deep, you might hesitate to even try. Next slide, please. Aristotle wrote, we are what we repeatedly do. The dictionary defines habit this way, an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly or completely involuntary. So there's a story about a man riding a horse, galloping really quickly, and it appears that he's going somewhere really, really important. A man standing alongside the road shouts, where are you going? And the rider replies, I don't know, ask the horse. Okay, so this is the story of most people's lives. They are riding the horse of their habits with no idea where they're headed. So it's time to take control of the reins and move your life in the direction of where you really want to go. If you've been living on autopilot and allowing your habits to run you, I want you to understand why, and I want you to let yourself off the hook, because after all, you're in good company with a lot of us, okay? Next slide, please. Psychological studies reveal that 95% of everything we feel, think, do, and achieve is a result of a learned habit. So beginning in childhood, we learn a series of conditioned responses that let us to react automatically, as in without thinking, to most situations. So in your day-to-day life, living automatically does have its definite positives. If you had to consciously think about every step of each ordinary task, like making breakfast, driving the kids to school, getting to work, and so on, your life would grind to a halt. You probably brush your teeth twice a day on autopilot. There's no big philosophical debate about that. You just do it. You strap on your seatbelt the minute your butt hits the seat. No second thoughts. So our habits and routines allow us to use minimal conscious energy for everyday tasks. They help keep us sane and enable us to handle most situations reasonably well. And because we don't have to think about the mundane, we can focus our mental energy on more creative and enriching thoughts. Habits can be helpful as long as they're good habits, that is. So if you eat healthfully, you've likely built healthy habits around your food that you buy and what you order at restaurants. If you're fit, it's probably because you work out regularly. Or if you're successful in your sales job, it's probably because your habits of mental preparation and positive self-talk enable you to stay optimistic in the face of rejection. Next slide, please. With enough practice and repetition, any behavior, good or bad, becomes automatic over time. That means that even though we developed most of our habits unconsciously, so by modeling by our parents or responding to environmental or cultural associations or creating coping mechanisms, we can consciously decide to change them. So it stands to reason that since you learned every habit you have, you can also unlearn the ones that aren't serving you well. Are you ready to learn how? Next slide, please. Okay, so 5 strategies for limiting bad habits. Unfortunately, we all fall into some of these bad habits. So let's try to learn how to unlearn them. Next slide. Number 1, identify your triggers. So let's say you just love eating dessert and you're like, okay, I need to nip that in the butt maybe for a little while. It's becoming an everyday kind of thing. Maybe you take out all the dessert from your house or all the sweets, okay, if that is a trigger. And at least knowing and being conscious of like, okay, if there is an Oreo in the cabinet, I'm going to eat that. So maybe just eliminating that. Next slide. Number 2, clean house. Okay, so with COVID, what I heard a lot of people say is, oh, I started having a glass of wine like every single night because there wasn't anything to do. I stayed home all the time and yeah, I had a glass of wine every night. Okay, so if you are serious about wanting to maybe lay off alcohol intake, clean house. What that means is get the alcohol out of the house, make it not even an option. Maybe you get rid of your wine glasses or put them really in somewhere really inconvenient so you can't grab them automatically. Sometimes you can take that drastic of steps. Clean house. Next slide, please. Number 3, swap it. Okay, find a competing behavior. So if you sit down on the couch after work every day and you watch TV, just trying to take that out can be really difficult. So try to find a competing behavior. Maybe you decide to integrate a meditation activity like yoga, and you put that on your TV and you do that instead of just sitting and kind of mindlessly watching TV. So a competing behavior can be very helpful. Next slide, please. Ease in. Okay, so this next one is ease in and the next one is jump in. So sometimes it can be easier to just ease in, right? Like take little baby steps to working towards that habit. Or the next option, next slide, would be to jump in. So there's actually studies that have shown if you have goals, say to live a healthier lifestyle, and you want to focus on, eating more healthy foods and exercising and doing more mindful activities, they've found that if you start all of them at once, that also can be very helpful. So sometimes you have to ease into some things. Sometimes you just have to jump in and do them full force, like rip the Band-Aid off. Next slide, please. All right, so 6 techniques for installing good habits. Next slide. Number 1. Set yourself up to succeed. So we talked a lot about exercise and how you can, burn those calories even in the winter months. So if you want to set yourself up for realistic goals, you don't want to say, I'm going to exercise 7 days a week, 2 hours a day. That might be great for a week or two, but that's not really realistic long-term. And all of a sudden, when you can't do that every single day, you might just stop completely. So set small goals so you set yourself up to succeed. Next slide. Number 2, so think addition, not subtraction. I think when people are trying to live healthier lives, they think of all the things that they can't have. They're like, oh, I can't have that. I can't do this anymore. Da, 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 da. It's like subtraction. It's kind of like that negative, such in that negative mindset, that negative tone that we talked about today. So think addition. We're going to talk about a habit tracker and think of like things that we can add to our routine to be focusing on those instead versus the subtraction. So think addition, not subtraction. Next slide. Number 3, so go for PDA. Public display of accountability. I have found this to be very easy with social media recently. A lot of us are on social media. Oh, I want to get healthier. I want to exercise, drink my water. Oh yeah, you can post on a story, got my water in today, or you tell someone, hey, my goal is to work out 3 times a week and I'm going to be accountable to someone. I'm going to tell them about it. I'm going to post about it. So sometimes that public display of accountability can be helpful to stay on track. Next slide, please. Number 4, find a success buddy. Very helpful. So someone with similar goals, you want to kind of pair up with them and kind of be that also accountability buddy. Check in to hold you accountable on that morning when you really don't want to get up and work out because it's 20 degrees and it's cold and you're tired and you didn't sleep well. Yeah. Next slide, please. Number 5, competition and camaraderie. Again, doing things with groups are great. I've personally loved Zoom and FaceTime and all those things because it makes it so much easier to connect with people when we can't be in those big settings. And sometimes you can do some competitions. I'm wearing my Apple Watch, and I can see, when my friends have met their goals and closed their rings, and I'm like, oh man, I need to get on that. So, whatever motivates you, find that thing. And number 6, next slide, is celebrate. So you do want to celebrate the small, and you also want to celebrate the large goals that you have reached. But kind of putting this all back together is if you really want to, live a healthier lifestyle, you really need to just focus on those small habits consistently over time. Next slide, please. So with your packet, you did receive a monthly habit tracker. There's directions on there. Fortunately, I can't really read them right now. They're a little small. But basically what this habit tracker does is it holds you accountable. So I would recommend coming up with no more than 5 habits that maybe you want to start adding to your routine. Okay, and every day, so there's little check marks from box 1 all the way to 31. Every day that you do it, hey, that's a little way to celebrate, right? Like check that box off. Oh, I got it done. That's good. I'm sitting in my kitchen right now and I'm looking at my habit tracker. Some things to include on this habit tracker. My number 1, don't hit snooze. That is my number 1 thing. If I hit snooze in the morning, everything's just going downhill from there. Don't hit snooze. Make the bed. Oh yeah, I accomplished that already today. Good. Exercise. drinking at least 64 ounces of water. So this will be included in your packet, and I highly recommend you print it off. And that's just a way to hold you accountable. And then you'd be surprised a couple days and you're like, hey, this is kind of fun. I got to get this done. And it's kind of just that nice feeling at the end of the day to feel like you accomplished something. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Al. Slow, small, constant change. Thank you for sharing that. As you mentioned, it's going to be in the pack. We already received it. We'll also include it when we send out our follow-up. So make sure that you are intentional about actually doing this, completing the monthly habit tracker, so you can make some changes, positive changes in your life. Thank you again. It is my pleasure to introduce two people, David Jeremiason, who is the Director of Development of Essentia Health, St. Joseph's Foundation. He is an avid kayaker and runs a local kayak group called Paddle Folk. He has lived in the Brainerd area with his family for the past 20 years and loves the lakes and trails that abound in the Brainerd Lakes area. I'd like to welcome Adam Rees, who is the president of ACR Consulting, a firm launched in 2021 that is dedicated to advancing rural community health and wellness. During his last 32 years, he has held leadership positions at Mayo Clinic in Essentia Health. Until recently, he was the president of Essentia Health's Central Market based in the Brainerd Lakes area. Wing Energized was founded by Adam in partnership with Crow County, and he led it for the first 8 years of its inception. This best-in-class community health movement is based on research he conducted while at Mayo and from creating and launching a community health movement in Mower County. Welcome back, Adam.
Thank you, Karen. Wave if you can hear me. Karen, can you hear me? Good, good. All right. Well, it's my pleasure to be joined with David Jeremiason, a friend and a colleague before you today. Please know that while I may not be in a co-chair role, I'm still a part of the steering committee. I've had the good fortune of doing a lot of volunteering as my employment situation changed. And again, thanks to Karen and all the staff for just a blast, whether it's giving out food or all the other good things that you do that are so many and varied, we can't touch upon them all in this brief summit. I also just want to do a few other thanks, and I really appreciated our keynote speaker, Nanette. And as you recall, one of her 4 principles is generosity, and that's really what David and I want to talk about. How do we create an endowment fund at Essentia Health St. Joseph's Foundation such that we can continue to support and do all the good things that have been done in the past and present, as you just heard with our new leaders, Kara, Mike, and we have some awesome new steering committee members as well. This group is alive and well and doing amazing things, and I'm going to reference that in just a moment. So what we realized was that there's a vulnerability. And the vulnerability is if funding were to shift dramatically from either grant funds, state funds like the SHIP, and we're very, very thankful for Minnesota Department of Health, Crow County, and the blessing of the SHIP funds. We're very thankful for Essentia Health and all the gifts and support, operating support that they've given over the years as well. So, but things can change. We know that, and I think our first speakers and roundtable with all of the changes that have taken place in COVID demonstrate that in spades. So let's move to the next slide. So we're going to talk briefly about what is Wing Energized, and I'm going to skip most of that and jump right to the heart of it, and then spend a moment on funding. So if we can go to the next slide, Karen. The bottom line is we're about changing outcomes, and it's in a variety of ways. But this is a highly summarized county ranking that's produced in Minnesota following, actually it's a national template that came out of Madison, Wisconsin, where our keynote was from. And it's a very powerful way of understanding where we at in our county. And you can see in 2017, we were out of 87 counties, we were rated 61. And in this case, you want to be number one. Those are the best, the healthiest counties. And if you're 87, unfortunately, you have a lot of improvement opportunity in front of you. The good news is that despite all sorts of challenges, and we know our winter poses challenges, but we heard from some awesome speakers that we can take advantage of amazing resources and get out and get that exercise and do those wonderful things that really helps making the healthy choice, the easy choice. We've moved from 61 to 40, and I want to right now just acknowledge, I saw earlier 128 people on board at today's annual conference. I know that we've had literally hundreds and hundreds of volunteers in different roles. And I want you to feel really proud. You're a part of a movement that's making a difference. And to go from 61 to 40 is a huge deal. We didn't get rid of poverty. We didn't get rid of all the other challenges that we've had. So you're making a difference. Wing Energized is making a difference. You're a part of a bigger mission. And if I recall correctly, that's a good part of resilience. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide is really, oh, this is the heart and, is this is the funding slide. Okay. Did we skip the one that's the determinants of health, Karen? No, it's backwards. I don't know where it went. It was the determinants of health were in there. Oh, that's too bad. Anyhow, the slide was in there. It got taken out. For those of you who've been a part of Wing Energized for years, you know that the real driver behind this is that 40% of our overall health in the community and 15% of our social interactions combined is 55%. If we embrace making changes in those two areas, we have the ability to influence over half of the outcomes that we potentially may experience. Part of that is beyond our control, our environment. And our genetics. We're sort of handed our genes, and so we may be predisposed. But I want you to know that the broader health and wellness movement that we've done is really a laser-like focus on behavior and social. I've already talked about the funding mechanisms, so we'll move to the next slide, Karen. So now I'm going to turn it over to David to talk about an endowment.
Yeah, hi everybody, can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about an endowment fund and what it really is. You've probably heard the term, but an endowment is a permanent fund. Typically when you have a program that you want to have long-term sustainable funding, you may see endowments for colleges, for scholarships, things that you know are going to be around for a long time. So the thing that's unique about endowment is that you only use the investment income. And oops, if you can stay back on that same slide, that would be great. Only the investment income is used. So as you can imagine, you need a pretty large fund if you're going to just use the investment income only. So, but what it does is it demonstrates a commitment to a program. Specifically here, it's Wing Energized and community health. And it's important to know that the investment is protected. The principal that's put into that endowment can't be used for anything else. It's protected and you're just using investment income. Okay, next slide, please. So we are very excited that we have formed our community health endowment fund that will be housed with St. Joseph's Foundation. It will be managed and administered by our local foundation board, which is important. We have local control over this fund, and that the funds will be used locally in our community. One of the great things about our foundation is that Essentia Health pays all the overhead costs. So 100% of all donations go directly into the fund with nothing taken out of them. We have professional management for these funds through Essentia, through our long-term investment pool. We have some pretty lofty goals for this endowment. Our initial goal is to raise $1 million in gifts and pledges by the end of 2021. And we do want to work with people who want to make pledges for this. You can spread your gift out over multiple years, and we can do pledges up to 5 years with donors if they're interested. Our long-term goal will be to raise $5 million for this fund. So you can imagine you get a fund that size. If you are looking at a 5% return maybe on your investment, you're talking about having $250,000 that we'd be able to use for our community health initiatives, which would be great. Next slide, please. The exciting part is we've shared this idea of starting a community health endowment with some of our donors that we know are passionate about community health. And we already have $450,000 committed in initial gifts and pledges. So we're almost halfway there to our goal for the first year. I was hoping we'd be to 500,000 by today, but I'm pretty happy about 450,000 as well. So next slide, please. Oops, back one, there you go. And I think they just sent it in the chat. There's a link to our giving page that has been set up for this initiative. And every gift is important. You may say, wow, you're trying to raise $1 million. My gift is too small. That's just not true. And I think Growing Energized is a great example of tons of people doing lots of little things together to make something really great. So we're open to any size gifts. I'm available to meet with people if you want to talk about putting an endowment, the endowment into your will or into your planned giving. There's all kinds of different ways that you can support it. Even if you don't have a lot of money right now, there's just a lot of different ways, and I'm happy to meet with people. I also want to note that we have a Growing Energized general fund, and we've had that for a while. And that fund is not an endowment fund. That fund can be used for, right now we're using it for anything that's really not covered by the SHIP grant. And we have about $100,000 in that fund right now. So a lot of people have been donating to that. I spoke with a donor this week who said that they didn't want to give to an endowment. They wanted their money, all of it, to be put to use right now, not just the investment income. So then that's okay too. Lastly, we just ask that you be an ambassador. If you're involved in service clubs or your business, I can invite people to come in and talk about Growing Energized, or I can come and talk to groups about how to financially support this new endowment. But we just ask that you be an ambassador and share about Growing Energized, share about this endowment, and help us grow and reach, especially that first initial goal of reaching $1 million by the end of this year. And I think the next slide has my contact information and Adam's information. If anybody'd like to get in touch and talk about how to support this new fund. Thank you.
I want to thank David and Adam, and for Adam's continued involvement with helping to launch this endowment. It's very exciting news that you just shared. It's gone off to a great start. And so thank you again, both of you, in helping us launch that very important initiative. On your screen, you'll see about Lunch and Learns. We just want to make sure that you're aware about these opportunities, and it's on the third Wednesday of every month from 12 to 12:30. The events are free. And on March 17th, our topic will be positive parenting for the weary pandemic parent. And on April 21st, our topic will be the importance of sleep. We list all of our Lunch and Learns and our upcoming events on our websites, which is, again, growingenergized.org. I know there's been a lot of sites listed in the chat, but again, probably an easy way to find a lot of this material you heard about today will be by going to our website. One other comment I just wanted to make, Shane, I think about the salad greens, and I think the red pepper can really enhance a nice salad. So don't be dismayed, Shane. I think that you'll still have a presence in our to complement our vegetable of the year. So as we look at moving forward, I just want to recognize all of our staff, all of our speakers today. Again, this program took a lot of coordination. I'm amazed. We're right at 11 o'clock right now, and the team did a great job. Thank you, Karen, Kelsey, Kara, and Millie, our staff who coordinate a lot of this work. I really appreciate that. All of our volunteers, all of our speakers today have given of their time. We invite you to get involved. There's a number of ways to be involved with Growing Energized. And again, this is a movement, as Adam's repeated. And I think, again, a movement is something that keeps moving us forward. And the great results that were shared earlier in terms of the health of the county is an example of the great work that's been done. And again, we hope to keep moving that in a positive direction. So again, there's resources and opportunities that are listed on this page. Thank you again for participating here today.
Thank you, Mike. So lastly, probably just as important as the rest of the content, staff will be posting prizes and the winners on our Facebook page, as well as sending the winners an email. So be watching your email inbox to see if you won a prize. And thank you to the sponsors of those prizes. They are listed on our screen right now. And most importantly, thank you all for attending and supporting the health and wellness of Crow Wing County residents. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Good job, Karen.
Right back at you, Shane.